Hey guys, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do something different today. If you have already watched my intro video, then you know that this channel is not only going to be about makeup, it's going to be about spirituality, me telling stories since I'm a registered nurse, and me just sharing things from day to day, including hauls, books that I'm reading, things that I recommend, or things that are inspiring for me, hopefully are inspiring for you. But today I want to do something slightly different. For those of you who already know that I am a registered nurse, and I have had so many experiences with patients that are sad, that are moving, that are funny as heck, and that I often, in private settings, without mentioning patients' names, of course, but just sharing stories that are funny most of the time, and some of them are moving and inspirational or otherwise. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. It's a little bit funny. Some stories are a little bit sad. Let's just see what comes to my mind and let's get right into it. So, one of the funnier moments I've experienced as a nurse, actually wasn't just as a nurse. It was before I became a nurse, I actually was a certified nursing assistant from the time I was 19 until I was 25, maybe, give or take. And I started out in geriatrics, and then I went into pediatrics. Geriatrics basically means old people. I worked with old people. Then I worked in pediatrics, which is working with kids. And from there, I was in nursing school. And from there, I went directly into the ICU. But anyway, so my story, back to that. So one of the funnier stories I had was when I worked night shift, and I was working at a old person home, and there's always so many funny characters, but I say that with endearment, with love, never to, these were people's family members, and we oftentimes, including myself, I regard them as if they were my own family. So having said that disclaimer, this is really funny. So there was one particular patient, and God bless her, I'm sure she has passed on now, because at the time she was in her 80s, maybe even 90s. She mentally had what's called dementia, so she didn't really know what was going on, but she could do regular things. She could get up, she could walk around. She just needed constant supervision. Anyway, so she had this routine, and all the nurses knew about it, all the staff knew about it, that at night she liked to have her sweets. So there was one particular person that was in charge of doing that most of the time, but for one reason or another, I think the job was just given to me that one night. So I went to get her some sweets. So I went down to our pantry area where we had everything under the sun, from like crimpets to like chocolate bars and pudding and rice pudding and whatever. So I went down, I grabbed the first thing I could find and just brought it back. And she liked to receive the sweets a certain way. You had to leave it at the nurse's station on top of the desk, because she often roamed late at night. So right around between 12 and 1 a.m., she used to roam by the station, the nurse's station, waiting for her snacks, of course. So this particular night, let's just call her Lucy, not her name obviously. Lucy happened to be eerily walking down the dark hallway quietly. You could never hear her when she was coming. So she's walking down the hallway, she picks up her snack, looks at it, and says, "I never asked for this piece of shit." So it was really funny at the time. I don't know if you guys found that really funny, but it was hilarious at the time because Lucy was very quiet. She didn't really speak to you, even when you would bathe her or help her with something. She rarely ever spoke much at all. I cannot recall how it was when her family came. If she had any family that came, I don't think she did, but that was her story. So it was bizarre because, well, she didn't really talk, and when she did, she cursed me out. And at first I didn't know how to react. And I looked at my other fellow coworker, who also was equally as shocked as I was, and we both just started busting out laughing. And then we wound up having to get her something she really wanted because she was pretty pissed off, which is another shocker because she didn't really have much reaction to anything. So that was one of my more funnier stories. I've often told that several times because it just is funny. One semi kind of scary, spooky one that happened, working at the same place, there was an elderly woman, let's call her Marjorie, not her name, obviously. So Margie could not get up by herself. She required what we call total care for everything. For feeding, for bathing, for getting up. We had to put her in a wheelchair and wheel her around. So this one particular night, one of the staff members went in to check on her, as we routinely did every few hours. And the staff went in there to check on her, right? So I'm doing my rounds, she's doing her rounds, and then at some point we come back together. At which point, as I'm beginning to start my round, she begins down hers, and I hear a very loud scream. So I become quite worried because some of the patients can become quite combative. So this particular patient, my coworker, when she walked in, she screamed because she saw that Marjorie was standing up, staring at a picture on the wall in her little room, her makeshift room. They had private rooms. So she was just standing there looking at the picture and turned around to my coworker and just smiled and said hello. And here at that point, I think I've been working there about 2 years. It was well known that Margie did not walk on her own at all, ever, and it had been years. So that was really scary. So you have to imagine the setting, because working at night, they dim all the lights. There's very, very dim light through the hallway, and it's a long corridor, and there's not much lighting in the patient's room. There was generally a little night light that's on, but that's about it. So you can imagine expecting a patient to be in bed who can't walk, and then there they are standing up against the wall staring at a picture. It's pretty freaky. So those are some crazy stories, I think, that I can share for now because I don't make this super long. So if you like more stories like this, let me know. Thumbs up this video or leave me a comment if you have a similar story or creepy story or weird story from your job. I like hearing those stories. Generally when I get together with friends, it's a question that sometimes comes up, like, do you have any good nursing stories? And I still do. It's ongoing. I keep a book of my funnier or the more moving ones. So if you liked it, let me know. If not, so be it. So until next time, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for watching.